Hey ladies, welcome to Wine Time Wednesday. It's hat day, Christine said, so if you have a hat, put it on. Look, Terry's looking around for one. And so is Amber. I just happen to have my...
Jessica's like, I'm not looking for a hat. I'm in bed.
I don't know what's wrong with these women.
Look here, I'll go get one.
There we go.
This is fun. I didn't do
one.
Yeah, everybody get it.
Fun. Mine are just Nike.
She should have put that in the description.
Yeah, I was about to say, we weren't told about this? Oh, okay. So
she just sent me,
but no one knows about it.
She just sent me a message and said, "Be sure your size hat is available." And I was like, "All right." I mean, it's always right here. Yeah. So I'm gonna rock this thing out, and hopefully I can see. Okay, so welcome to Wine Time Wednesday. Jessica now thinks that we are total drunks. Hello, it's Wine Time Wednesday.
I'm 3 beers in.
Oh, good. She fits right in. She fits right in. Cheers, girl. So I hope you guys have your wine. I have mine. Because it's been a long day, potty training. So let's get right into it. We thought that we would talk to you guys tonight about inviting and like kind of starting conversations with people and just kind of how to form relationships, right? Because I think a lot of times, especially when we're newer to this business, hell, even when we've been in it for a while, we kind of feel like we're stuck or we're at this point where we need to start meeting new people. And sometimes having conversations with people seems scary and we don't want to come off as used car salesmen. So we thought we would chat about that tonight. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Christine and she is going to start us off.
Perfect. So yeah, just like Lisa said, like the goal of doing this call is that, hey, one of our vital behaviors is inviting people. And I feel like so often, like that's the part that either people often tell me like is super difficult or like we find difficult doing ourselves too. So I thought it was helpful if we just kind of dove into invites, different approaches that we can take to invites, things that you can do outside from just posting call to actions or things like that to actually kind of propel your business forward and just to talk to more people. Because I think I'm in a place now where I feel like I just need to be talking to more people. So I think we'll kind of cover that in the latter half of this call as well. So something that I hear often people say is that inviting, you don't want to be salesy. Lisa just talked about that. And so often, like, I think we don't want to invite people because we don't want to offer them something that they probably don't want. Like, I'm always the first person to assume that somebody doesn't want what I'm offering them. Right? So I'm like, oh, I don't want to ask them because they're probably not interested, right? Or I don't want them to be like, oh, she's just messaging me because she wants to sell me something. And so I think the first thing that we can do is kind of think about how our coach invited us to this process, whether they just randomly messaged us and asked us to buy a challenge pack and sent them a link, or if we probably had a conversation with that person before, we started to build a relationship with that person, and then we actually decided it was a good fit for us. So I think whenever you think about that, it makes it a little bit less nerve-wracking because you're like, oh yeah, that's how that process went for me. I'm now going to try to deliver that same sort of respect and kind of process with somebody else where I'm putting their values, their needs, their interests way ahead of mine and making a sale, right? So I think that's super important. But I think another part that's really important before we even get started is that you have to believe that you have something to offer someone. You have value as a coach because that's what they're actually signing up for, right? So belief is super important. And at the end of the day, inviting is going to be scary for all of us, but it's with repetition, it's with being consistent with it that you're going to feel more confident. Every time you have another conversation, it's going to be like, okay, I've already done one of those, or somebody's already asked me that question, or already given me that, objection before. It's a little bit easier with time, and I think that will build up your belief, build up your confidence, and so consistency will definitely do that. So what we're kind of talking about today, everyone's going to be different. Like things that, work well for me or questions that I ask might be totally different than what Lisa does or Amber does or Terry does or anybody does. But hopefully it'll kind of build your confidence and you will learn some more tips that might be helpful for you in talking with people in the future. So in terms of diving into inviting people and the tools that I kind of use, when I first got started, the only way that I pretty much invited somebody to my groups was doing like a call to action post where I posted something on social media. I blast something on Facebook, a very weird image, I think, because that's what Facebook always reminds me of, are the weird images that I posted, 3 or 4 years ago. And so I would post like a call to action, like I have this upcoming group, who wants to join me? And it would be like crickets, like nobody would like them and nobody would comment on them. And so I was like, shoot, this isn't working. Like people don't want to join my groups. I thought people really wanted to join right away, right? So I realized that just doing kind of call to actions once or twice a week or before my group started, like that wasn't the only way that I was going to be able to fill up my group. So yes, I feel like now I've gotten a little bit better at making call to actions, which I'll share with you guys. But call to actions aren't really the only way that you can get somebody to join your groups, okay? So in terms of actually getting people to join your groups, I think it kind of first starts with your Facebook post and the social media posts that we're actually putting out there, right? Because if we're just like super silent and then randomly one day we post some like call to action, like join my group, it's gonna feel kind of weird, right? In terms of your audience, you want them to be, learning about you, following your posts day by day by day. They're getting value from you. They're seeing what you're doing. You're being kind of proof that the products are working. You're sharing other things about your day aside from like working out and drinking Shakeology 24/7. And then randomly, you're going to now post some sort of call to action where you're actually inviting somebody to join you, right? So make sure whenever you're posting, first and foremost, that you're posting to add some sort of value or for a purpose, instead of just like posting for whatever, right? Because you don't want to just be that person that's just like randomly posting things, like posting selfies for no reason, although sometimes I do that. So something that I heard recently was whenever somebody's looking at your social media posts, you want them to flow like a book and not like a magazine. And I didn't really understand what that meant at first, but the purpose is like whenever you're reading through a magazine, right, you're flipping the pages and every page is something totally different. Like it could be like nail polish and then you flip and it's fashion and then you flip and it's a recipe and then you flip and it's an advertisement, right? A magazine's like all over the place. When you're reading a book, it's progressing, right? Chapter by chapter, you're learning more, you're diving more into the storyline, and it's kind of flowing all together. And that's the goal of what you want your social media to look like too. You want someone to be able to go through your social media and get a good idea of who you are, what your journey is as a person, how your week's been going, things like that they can actually follow you over the course of time. And that's how breadcrumbing will kind of work into this as well. So I thought that was kind of a cool analogy to kind of think of. But whenever we're posting, which we hear all the time, is that we need to think about the five or 10 things that are important to us, that define us, things that we're passionate about or we love or we enjoy doing, whatever those things are. Like I have those on my desk right now, like the things that are like I love, and I wrote those all down. And so some of those things could be health and fitness, but the other things that you should be posting about, like for me, are like drinking coffee, going on adventures, wearing headbands, drinking margaritas, like random things. That's on my list. So you should have your own list too. So whenever you're posting, it feels like you, right? It doesn't feel like anybody else. They can get a good idea of what the book of you looks like. And so then when you post a call to action, they already have a good sense of who you are. They already have a good sense of, what your transformation has been, the story of you, how they can relate to you, how you guys kind of connect on another level. And so then whenever you're kind of sharing about a call to action, that's not just like kind of out of the blue. You've been sharing your journey consistently every day for a few days before you're actually posting some sort of call to action. So even if like you think your day is super boring, I promise there's something that you can share about. You just have to have like this list of things to kind of refer to, even on those days when you're like, my day is super boring. All I did today was watch Netflix and lay on the couch. That's great. I bet there's somebody else that totally did that too. So those are the people that you could actually connect with. Okay, so we talked about our social media. We're getting ready. We're starting to gear up. We're about to do some sort of like call to action where we're actually just posting some sort of like out there public invite where we're inviting people to join us. We've been adding value. We've been sharing about ourselves. And now it's time to ask people if they want to join you, right? For whatever group you have coming up, whether it's a free group, but more often than not, our call to actions are going to be for our challenge groups or our boot camps or whatever you want to call them. I call them boot camps now just because I feel like people can kind of connect with that. And a challenge group, people like didn't know what that meant. And it was more like Beachbody lingo, right? So whatever you want to call it, a support group, a challenge group, a boot camp, whatever you want to call it, that's what your call to action is really, gearing up towards. Okay. So whenever you're thinking about doing a call to action, there's a few things that we'll kind of think about. And the first one is like your timing for your posts, right? Because we don't want to be posting call to actions at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, like on a Saturday. because like nobody's on their computer on a Saturday, nobody's paying attention at 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's probably just not a good time to post a call to action. So if you're gearing up, you're really excited about your group, it's important that we think about the time that you're going to do this post. So it's okay if you kind of plan or schedule your post ahead of time, and you get it ready, and then the time that you actually need to do it, that's when you kind of press play on it, okay? So the good times that I usually post call to actions, and Lisa or anybody else is welcome to jump in anytime that you guys have any other comments or feedback too. But for me, I feel like we often talk about Sunday evenings being a very popular time for people on Facebook because, I mean, heck, we're finishing up the weekend. We're like dialing down. We're laying on our couch, and a lot of people are scrolling on Facebook. They want to catch up with what happened on the weekend. I'm guilty of doing the exact same thing. So that's a really good time to make sure that you post a call to action if you have something coming up for the week. So the times that I would post on a Sunday are between like 7 and 8. I think that kind of time frame works well in the early half of the weekdays as well. So Monday nights, I think people are still like kind of out of it, right? And you're still on Facebook. And then there's other evenings, like on Tuesday evening, where people are posting Transformation Tuesdays or something, and that's often a good time as well. The later we get in the week, the more checked out people get, and the more like they're going to happy hours and starting to have a good time for the weekend. So I would say Sunday through Tuesday is probably the best times that I found to get engagement on my call to action. So timing is kind of the first thing that we would want to think about. The second thing whenever we're posting call to actions to think about is the actual post first, like the visual, what the actual image is, and then we'll kind of think about the text too. So if we think about the image, we want it to be something that's like visually appealing, right? We want someone to be able to like stop their scroll. You're mindlessly scrolling. You want someone to stop, right? So you want it to be something that like relates to them and that makes it personal to you because they're connecting with you all throughout the week, and now they actually need to stop at your post, okay? So this is where it's super important that we're not just posting like Beachbody branded images, whether, I know we get super excited about it. We even get super excited about the Beachbody All Access on Demand. We get super excited about all the programs that you get access to, but here's the deal, guys. People will be more likely to stop at your face if you're super excited about it versus just seeing all of the programs in some sort of collage, right? So make it personal to you. Often I will make my call to actions my face or me doing something weird, usually something weird, or like a transformation or something that they're gonna actually be eye-catching that they'll stop at, okay? So you want it to be something that they can see you clearly, and that is kind of eye-catching to them. The second thing that you want after you have your image, you want it to be like something that they're going to stop at. And then the second thing is we're going to actually dive into what we put in the call to action. So it depends what you're asking people to join you for, okay? So for me, there's like 2 ways that I'm asking somebody to join me for. And one is that I'm just sharing some information about what my group actually entails. I'm not adding Beachbody words. I'm not adding the price. I'm making it super simple. So if I wasn't a coach, if I wasn't a customer, if it was me circa 5 years ago, why would I stop on that post? You need to be talking to the person that you were before you joined Beachbody, before you heard of any of these things. What would make you stop? What would you be able to relate to? What would you be looking for out of somebody random online, right? So you want your post to be including things about what you're actually offering. And then for me, it's like one of 2 directions. Like one, I'm just inviting about this particular group that I have coming up, and I want them to join. Or the second route that I do often now is that I'm inviting them to learn more. Like I'm giving them a snippet of the information of my group, and I'm sharing that I'm going to be holding some sort of like sneak peek or open house somewhere else that they can go to learn more, okay? So those are kind of the 2 end goals that I'm usually looking for in a call to action. But whenever I'm kind of typing things out, I think the first thing you want to think about in terms of the actual text is like the first 1 to 2 lines. Because if you think about Facebook, if you're on like a desktop or even on your phone, Facebook cuts off like the first 2 or 3 lines, right? Like you can only see those couple lines, and then it says like read more or like whatever. Like so you have to like click it for it to expand, right? So if somebody sees your post, if they're not excited about the photo, they need to be excited about the text. They need to click that like little read more button, right? So you need those first 2 sentences to be something that they actually want to kind of click open to read, okay? So you have to decide what that is for you, whether it's an actual small little question, whether it's something quirky, whatever it is, your goal is for them to see those 2 lines and want to read the rest of it, okay? So you want to have something engaging in the first 2 lines And then after that, just kind of some short little sentences or like 1 to 2 line paragraphs. So we don't need this whole storyboard going on here because that's like overwhelming and I just like, forget it, I'll keep scrolling, right? So you can do small like couple sentences, or you can do like bullet points with emojis or whatever you want. Something where someone's going to easily be able to read your text and then decide yes or no if they want to join, okay? So we kind of have thought about when we're going to post, we decided what the images that we're going to use, and then we decided kind of the text that we're going to include in there. And at the end, I usually ask them to do something, right? I'm like calling them to act. I'm calling them to do something after they read my post. And usually what that is like comment below, I'm in, or comment below, let's do this, or drop an emoji if you're ready to rock it, or for me to send more details, or whatever it is. I'm asking them to do something, and hopefully that's in the comment section. And I want them to do that in the comments because it's going to drive more engagement on my posts. So I'd rather them do that than kind of like send me a message, because that's another step for them. That's exhausting. They're probably not going to do that, right? They're more likely to just like or comment on the post. So once somebody has done that, I think what I try to do whenever I post a call to action, if possible, is like hang out at your computer for like the next 30 minutes after your call to action is posted. I know what you really want to do is like post it and run away because you're like, ugh, no one's going to respond, right? But I think the better thing to do is stick at your computer or on your phone for the next little bit to see when people start responding or actually make a comment that you're there and you're ready to engage with them, okay? Because those people, if they comment below like, yeah, they want to join you, they're pumped up. Your post pumped them up, right? So now is the time that you should be engaging with them. Engage with them publicly in the post, like, okay, sending you a message now, super excited, and then sending them a message to start to have that conversation with someone, right? So whenever you're doing that, Facebook's also going to be like, wow, Christine's on the ball. People are loving it. I'm going to share it with more people. So that's just even better for your call to action if you hang around your computer. So I think that's a cool little tip that you guys should try to do if you have the time to do it. And so at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're liking and commenting on all the interactions with your post, and then starting to make a list of every single person that has commented on that post or has liked that post. And so often I think we just think about the people that comment on our posts when we might get tons of likes, right? And someone might not have read the whole post to know they were supposed to comment, but they were kind of into it. So they hit the like they put an effort to hit the like. Because we don't like everything, right? Like you scroll on Facebook and you don't like everything. So if somebody took the time to do that, I think it's valid to add them to a list of people that you want to interact with and make sure that you're personally inviting them in a message as well. So make sure that you do that, and then those are the people that we're going to start using for our list to actually invite and go through the process in a message with them, or ask them to join your sneak peek or some sort of group where you're sharing more information. So in terms of like actual messages that I would send somebody, like if they liked or commented on a post, if they liked it, I would normally say, hey, I saw you like my post last night. I'm not sure if you got to read the whole thing, but I'm opening up my next 30-day boot camp. We kick off next week, and I'm actually sharing more information tomorrow. I'm not sure, would you be open to learning more information? Just didn't want you to miss out, or let me know, totally up to you. I leave it open-ended for them, but I ask them a question of which they typically, like 9 times out of 10, if they're going to respond, like, oh yeah, sure, add me, to at least learn more information. And that's just kind of continuing the relationship with them. But I kind of keep the conversation and message with them super light, and I'm just trying to get them to go to kind of the next step in the process with me. So let me just check my notes to make sure I didn't miss anything. I'm liking and commenting on everything. What you can do the next day too is like comment on that post. Like I messaged all of you, or like added you all to the group, and that just bumps your post up in the social media world as well. So I wrote that down just to let you guys know as well. Okay, so that's kind of my call to action process in terms of making call to actions, when I make them, what kind of text that I'm including in them, and what the photos look like and stuff. I'm happy to like share you guys examples, not that they're totally perfect. I just wanted to at least share what has worked well for me. Do you guys have any questions on like just specifically call to actions at the moment? No, that was great. I should keep going. I might have to pass it off to Lisa. I forget. But regardless, aside from call to actions, other things that we wanted to talk about is like, okay, cool, you made that call to action. Well, Christine, what if I only got like 3 likes on it and like 1 comment? Now what do I do? So now we'll kind of dive into other ways that you can share on social media. You can connect with people and engage with people and start to build relationships. And then in the latter half, we'll talk about some sort of just like inviting things that you can do once you're actually in a message with people, because I know that's a little bit scary too. So Lisa, do you want to go?
Sure.
Cool.
I don't know. You're on a roll. Do you want to keep going? I know you get a little bit. Okay. So like Christine said, there's other ways that you can start engaging with people on your Facebook page. And you definitely do not want every post that you have on your page just to be a call to action, because people are just going to start tuning you out or blocking you, right? I know that there's certain people that I have blocked because all I see is pushy posts. So you don't want to be that person. So we're going to talk about a couple different things. We're going to talk about breadcrumbing, being a product of the product, which you guys have heard time and time again, and then actually engaging with your posts and how to do that. So let's start with breadcrumbing. Whenever I hear that term, I think of Hans and Gretel, right? Wasn't that their name or something like that? The ones that like put out breadcrumbs out so that the crazy witch wouldn't eat them, or something like that. That's what I think of. And that's essentially what you're doing. You're dropping little breadcrumbs to guide people to you. You're not putting everything out there. You're just giving little bits so that they are wanting more. It's not an invite. A breadcrumb is not when you're inviting somebody. It's simply an opportunity for you to share your journey, your story on Facebook. So you can, breadcrumbs can be about anything. It can be about, sharing what product you're using, sharing your recipes, talking about your groups, but you're not inviting people to it. You could just be like, Christine does this often where she'll talk about like her group rocking out, what the squats that they did, or she might post a picture. I know you just posted someone's abs from your group, their transformation that they had. If you're doing clean eating challenges, you can give the results of those, like how many pounds or inches lost at the end. Those are all breadcrumbs. We were talking about your groups. Sharing before and afters. Transformations are always a huge hit. I've talked about it before. People want to see that your product actually works. We've heard lots of gimmicks. We hear about those fat fighting pills and this and that. But if I'm looking at that person and I see that they are not presenting the results that they're telling me work, or what's going to happen if I use that, I'm not going to follow them. I'm not going to believe what they're selling. So when you're posting your transformation or your challengers transformations, people are watching that because, again, they're going to want to see that something is going to work before they're going to put down that money. So before and after pictures are always fantastic to post. And it doesn't always have to be you. Ask your challengers for permission. If they have great results, a lot of them, like if they're willing to put it out on their Facebook page, chances are they, with permission, are willing to allow you to do the same and share it. So you always want to ask that. Sharing your story with health and fitness. It doesn't always have to be your health and fitness story, just your deal altogether. Like if you guys are friends with me on Facebook, you see that I talk about my crazy family all the time. I'm just constantly sharing about what's happening. But I also talk about my journey. I talk about the fact that I hate getting up that early, but I still do it. Or like that workout really sucked, but I did it. Share about what's happening with your workouts. You can talk about, I ate a bag of Cheetos today. I shouldn't have done it, but I did it. And I don't regret it. So you can talk about those kind of things, right? Share what's happening in your journey. Share something that you've struggled with. Share a struggle that you have with your family. So again, if you're friends with me on Facebook, I talk about my issues with my oldest all the time. And, he's special needs and we have a lot of bullying stuff that happens. I share that. And those are the posts outside of Anna and like her crazy antics, the stuff that I share about Jackson, where I'm really real about, being a parent and like motherhood and the crap that comes along with it. Those are the posts that get the most engagement on my page. So share the real life stuff, okay? And it's also really important when you are doing your call to action. So people need to get a sense of who you are and what your lifestyle looks like, because then they can see if they relate to you, right? They need to be able to connect with you, and they need to know who you are in order for them to connect to you. Like they can't just have like a fake facade of you. They need to know who you are. They need to know that you have the same struggles that they do. And then they're going to be more willing to come to you than to go to Christine or to go to me, because they connect with you. So breadcrumbing is super important to get your story out there, right? So when you think of breadcrumbing, just think of dropping little hints about who you are, about your journey, and just share, right? Share. This business is not about selling. It's about sharing. So whenever you start to feel like you sound like a salesman, you need to take a step back, look at how you're presenting yourself on Facebook, and ask yourself, are you sharing or are you selling? It should be more sharing than it is selling, right? You're just talking about what works. Just like the other day, so like last weekend, we ate at a really good Mexican restaurant. And the first thing I did is I came home and said, those of you who live in our area, go to this restaurant. It's brand new and it's amazing. Right? Like that wasn't salesy. I was talking about something that I legit fell in love with. Like, dude, the margaritas are out of this world. Go here and have one and eat this. It's the same thing that what we do in this business. We're sharing something that works for us, something that we like, that we use every day, and something that works. So think about it that way, right? All right, I went on a tangent there. So being a product of the product, but not being salesy. There's a difference, right? So I don't have anything. Usually I have something here, but my kids all moved everything. So let's say I have my Shakeology, my shaker cup, right, full of my shake. And I'm like, here's my shake. You want some? Here's my link. You're not doing that, right? Like you can talk about like, here's my chocolate fix for the day, or, got to make it a double, or, something. If you're talking about Energize, like had a rough night, it's going to be a double scoop kind of day. Like you can talk about stuff like that without actually mentioning the name of the product. That always is what draws people in, right? They're like, well, what is it? Ooh, you didn't sleep last night, but you're having a double shot of something. What is that? What's that yellow stuff? Like, it looks kind of gross, but like, what is that? That's also breadcrumbing and not being salesy. And really, guys, when you're being a product of the product, it's not only helping your business, it's helping keep you accountable, right? I don't necessarily post like a sweaty selfie of me because I think I look hot. I do it because I am keeping myself accountable. I know that if I'm not accountable to my challengers, like I'm going to fall off the wagon just like everybody else does. So when you're sharing, you're also doing yourself and like your fitness journey, you're doing that a favor as well. You are not inviting when you're being a product of the product. You're just sharing. So, right, there's a theme here, sharing. It's not about selling. It's not about always having to invite. It's about sharing what works. So examples of being a product of the product. Posting your workout videos, so this is like something that's been newer for like the last year, I'd say, like year and a half. I think when Size released, that's when a lot of us started using video. And we were really scared at first, and now we just do it all the time. Workout videos, posting your post-workout selfies, your Shakeology. Not so much like, we've all done it. We all do it like, hey. But you could even do, I don't know what you guys do on Snapchat. I really have to get on there. I've been thinking about it. But like Instagram stories, you can do like what's that, boomerang? Like you can make it funky, make it different instead of just like the, hey. But talk about how it makes you feel, how Shakeology makes you feel. Talk more about it than just like showing a picture of you smiling with it. Yeah, just not with you in like a bag. Like how many times do you see people on your feed where it's just a bag or, the shaker cup? Make it unique. Try to make it something funny or something eye-catching. A lot of times the new thing is that people like take pictures. I think Christine taught me it. Like they take pictures so their feet are in it. Like it's like a fancy photography angle, like where like the tips of your feet are in it. I don't know. But I tried it and I was like, this looks weird. Like my shoes are really dirty. But I know a lot of the top coaches are doing it. So, why not? Okay, so now that you've made your posts, how do you interact with people and you start conversations? Again, this is the scary part. And a lot of this takes practice. When you first start, you feel really awkward. And it probably sounds awkward. I remember like in the very beginning when I was doing this, someone was like, are you reading from a script? Because this sounds like a script. And I literally was. And that was the last time I ever used a script. So when some of my coaches, my newer coaches are like, do you have a script to use? I hear a lot of coaches talking about script. I'm like, I will never do it again because I got called out because it doesn't sound like me, right? So just know that it will be awkward at first, but the more you practice, the better you get at this, okay? So engaging with people. Anyone that is liking or commenting on your stuff, you should be talking to, okay? So you can, for sure, like Christine said, when you make a post, be around a little bit after that. And for sure, every comment that is on there, you have to like it. You should be commenting under every comment. Sometimes if it's like really basic, I don't, but like I will always like something. Or if it's someone that like there's always this creeper guy on my like page that like makes comments and everything. And I just have given up on commenting on that. But outside of that, comment and for sure like everybody who's taking the time out to say something on your stuff, right? They've taken the time out, you can take the time out in return. You're engaging with them. Thank them. So like let's say you posted your transformation pics, right? Your before and afters. If they comment on there that like, hey, you look great, send them a private message and say, you know, like, hey, thank you so much for showing me support on my post. It was really hard for me to post that and I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. Like acknowledge that you realize that they took time out of their day and it makes you a little bit more human. It shows that like you were scared to post that and it gets you engaging with them and conversation will start from there. And as you're doing this, start keeping a list of people. I learned this the hard way. I used to use Messenger and just like try to go through. But as my messages started building up, like I lose people in there. And still to this day, like I'll scroll back and be like, Jesus, look at all these unread messages. Like it just builds up, right? And like the first day of the month, if you message me on the first day of the month, I can guarantee you I'm going to lose track of that message because that's the day that I have the most messages coming in and out. So like keep a list. It helps, right? Especially if you have ADD like me, which is why I'm going on a tangent right now. So keep a list of people, whether it be in a Google Doc or via pen and paper, whatever it is, keep track so that you don't lose sight of people because those people that fall through the cracks, if you don't catch up with them, someone else will, right? Again, thanks for supporting me. All these things where you're reaching out to these people and creating these conversations opens up the opportunity for more dialogue, opens up the opportunity to form a relationship with these people and possibly, you know, have them join your team later on. Okay, so you can start to form lists. I saw that. Sorry, I have to read because, again, my ADD. All right, so making sure that you are working from that list. Like I said, I used to use Messenger. That's not a good look. If you're super organized and like you're not as spacey as me, maybe, but like I suggest using a list. So who should you be conversing with? People that are liking and commenting on your posts, but also think of like as you're going through your Facebook feed, like you might like I have a couple people that I know would be amazing challengers and like they should be in my group or they should be coaches. I have them kind of like start and off to the side. Like I know that like I'm going to stalk these people until they join. Like Terry, I knew she should be a challenger, get out of the gym and start working out with Beachbody products, and B, you should be a damn coach. And now look, she's down there. But it took a while, right? So you should be reaching out and constantly talking to these dream challengers, right? People that you know would make really good challengers or excellent coaches. Those are the people you really want to focus your time on. Not that I did that to you, Terry, because I mean, you're stuck with me because you're my dog sitter. People who you know, who you love, who you trust, those are people that you should be talking to. People who have sent you Facebook like friend requests or that you have sent friend requests to, you should be reaching out and starting a conversation with them. So like today this guy was a bad example of it, but like I got a friend request from somebody. I thought it was a girl. But apparently it's a guy because he was saying now that like he sent me a message today being like, we should be good friends. And I was like, delete. But like when you add someone to your page, you should reach out and be like, hey, thanks for the ad. Or like, hey, I see you're really into, for me, it's usually Disney. Hey, I see you're really into Disney. When's the next time you're going? Or, you know, start a conversation with them so that you start getting to know each other. And again, it's not about selling them something. You're not inviting them to anything. You're just forming a relationship. You're just starting the wheels turning. And those people that engage with your posts regularly, you should be reaching out to them on the side and just like starting conversation. Like as you're scrolling, right? If you see something pop up, like for example, yesterday I saw one of my friends, one of my sorority sisters from college is in Disney right now with her son. So I could reach out to her and be like, hey, you know, like a week from now when she's back, reaching out, following up and being like, how was your trip? I see you guys stayed at the Art Animation. How did you guys love it? We love it there. You can engage that way. So when you see a post that somebody else makes that you can connect to, reach out to them and have a conversation. Again, it's not about being like, hey, by the way, I've got this boot camp. You want to join it? No, you're just talking to them, right? Because you want them to get to know you and you want them to start to go to your page and pay more attention to you because you've taken the time out to like converse with them. So as you're scrolling through Facebook, use it not just as like a mindless scroll, like when you're on the toilet like me and you have some quiet time, but use it as an opportunity to be like, ooh, look at that. Ooh, I love that dress. Or like, ooh, where was that restaurant? You know, like reach out and ask questions or say like, hey, I'm really jealous that you're Disney right now and I'm stuck at home in the rain and the thunderstorm. So think about Facebook as more of an opportunity to form relationships, right? I went on a tangent again. Where am I? Okay, so, I just jumped right over a lot of this. If you have a new challenge group starting, so on those lists that you're making, I have a list from like every sneak peek that I have done, although like that just started because Christine like taught me that I should be keeping lists because I don't. So I started, now since I started that, I have a list, every sneak peek I've run, every free group, every free fitness group, every clean eating challenge. So like right now I could reach back from like the last however many months of clean eating challenges and be like, hey, you know, just wanted to let you know I have an upcoming boot camp or like my clean eating challenge starts next week. So I could be like, hey, just so you know, I have a new free clean eating group starting on Monday. Do you want to jump in? I know you did it in December with me. So you're going off those lists to invite to a group that you have coming, not necessarily a boot camp, but like a free group. But you have those lists where you know that you always have someone to be having a conversation with. If you know that, so like as you're starting to post about Shift Shop and it coming out, if people are like, ooh, I can't wait for that, or like people who are Shaun T fans with this new program that we're supposed to be hearing about with it releasing, you can reach out. Like I've got this girl, Kim, who loves Shaun T. So I can be like, hey, Kim, hey, by the way, you know, we just heard that Shaun T's got this new program coming out. It's called XYZ. I thought about you instantly when I heard about it. So you know what people like, and you can reach out regarding those new products that are launching by the trainers that they like, or if it's like if they're a dance freak or like a cardio freak, or if they like weights, and whichever program is centered around that, you reach out. Asking people for testimonials, you should be reaching out to your previous challengers, asking for, you know, if they can write up like a little paragraph or like a couple sentences about your boot camp, what they thought about it, the results. Sometimes they'll give you their before and afters, and you can use those in your sneak peeks or in some of your call to actions if they give you permission for that. Ask people for advice. People love giving their opinion on things, so you can always reach out. So, you know, someone reached out to me the other day and asked about night terrors. You know, like it could be about anything. Like if you know someone is a teacher, right? So we're ending the end of the year, right? We're coming up to the end of the year. So you could reach out to a teacher and be like, hey, give me your opinion. What do you think is a really good end of the year teacher gift, right? Perfect. Like totally nonchalant, totally legit. I just actually thought about that and now I have like an idea to do tomorrow, right? That's what I'm going to do tomorrow is find out end of the year gifts. So like you can reach out to people asking for advice because they love to give opinions. If you get one of those little notifications about birthdays, reach out to someone about their birthday. You don't just have to post it on their feed. Send them a private message. They're going to be like, ooh, like, damn, Terry took the time out to like actually send me a message as opposed to just like post it on my page like everybody else. Like that was cool of her. So reach out about birthdays, or you can do it the next day and be like, hey, how was your birthday? You're like, what did you do on your birthday? Or, hey, I saw like Emmanuel took you to an amazing restaurant. Like, did he propose yet? Like you can do things like that. Reach out and ask for, not that I'm hinting at anything. You can reach out that way and form conversations. And ask people for referrals. Always feel free. If someone, for sure, if someone ever tells you no, be like, all right, you know, like, do you happen to know anybody? Or do you think you know anybody or have any friends that might be interested in this? You can ask your challengers, your current challengers or previous challengers. if they have referrals, like anyone that they want to refer, sometimes some coaches do like a referral rewards program. So like if you refer a friend and they purchase a challenge pack, they get like a $25 e-card to Amazon or Amazon card or whatever. Like some coaches do that, but you can always ask for referrals, asking people for names of people, but you can also ask for referrals for things like, hey, do you happen to know a good place to get my nails done? Hey, do you happen to know, like, I saw you got your hair done the other day. Where did you go? I'm looking for like a new hairstylist. Things like that, right? Reaching out, totally nonchalant. It's not salesy. You're just asking questions. And again, people love to ask or give their opinions on things. God, I have a lot to talk about, Christine. You give me a lot today. Okay. How to start a conversation. Ask questions, people. It can just start with, hey, how are you today? Right? The fine art of conversation. So have it be a question. When in doubt, ask a question. Great coaches ask great questions. So start with just, hey, how's your day? Or how are you today? Simple, right? Think of forming, right? When we talk about forming, you're talking about family, occupation, what they do for a living, recreation, what do you do for fun, and message, right? What message are you trying to present to them? Why do you keep laughing at me, Christine? Or are people talking about me behind my back? Are you talking about me because my hat?
No, I'm just looking at how much stuff I wrote and put Lisa next to.
Yeah,
It's funny.
you really did a lot. This is a lot for me. Usually this is you because you're on a tangent. Always end your conversation with a question because then they have to get back to you, right? Like, or they feel that they do. So always end your message with a question. It can be something silly like, what do you think of that? Or did that make sense? Because even if you're saying, did that make sense? I use that one a lot. Like, did that even make sense? I'll say that because that's more of how I sound. They'll be like, yeah, totally. Or they'll ask a question from there. So always end it with a question. There's so much on here for me to read, Christine. Don't you know I can't read this much? It's going to take time. Again, you will sound awkward at first. Totally normal, totally okay. You'll get better at it as it goes along. And guys, really, like, don't think too much about it. Just let it flow naturally. If you start with a question, you end it with a question, you're just going to kind of talk, right? Just like we are here, although I'm kind of rambling at this point. Ask them, like, how are you doing today? What do you do for a living? Like, how old are your kids? What grade are your kids in? What does your husband do for a living? You're asking them all kinds of questions that lead up to them asking you the same kind of questions. They'll be like, I'm a teacher. What do you do? I'll be like, I'm a health and fitness coach. I don't ever say that I'm a Beachbody coach because the word Beachbody sometimes is like, ding, 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 just like someone else. If they drop an MLM on me, like they drop a name, that's a red flag for me, right? Like, I know why you're now reaching out to me. So I don't ever say Beachbody. I don't use the names of the products. I just say I'm a health and fitness coach. And I leave it at that. So leave Beachbody out of it. Because people might have had a really bad experience with someone. And you don't want to be lumped in with that person. Let's see. Where am I? Oh, you said the same thing. Don't use Beachbody coach. So, like, don't just always feel like you have to keep a conversation going just to have a conversation going. If it dies, it dies. Just let it go. And like, you can come back to them on another day. Like if you see something pop up on your feed that they did that was cool and you want to reach out, you can always do that. But don't feel like you have to drag this conversation out. If it's done, it's done, right? Move on. You kind of be there. You're there. You know it. Let it die. Bury it. Oh my God, Christine, more. Okay, Christine, can you take over now? This is a lot.
This is really funny.
That's too much.
I just cut mine off, and then I forgot how many other bullet points I wrote.
Jesus Christ.
The only other thing that we wanted to mention is like, okay, so we've had conversations about like things that we're engaging with people on just on building relationships, right? We're asking about their day. We're talking about their posts that they've made, things like that. Okay, Christine, that's super cool. I'm glad that we've been talking about like nothing. Like, how do I actually get somebody to join my group? So a few different ways that you could do that is if, like we were saying, like if somebody does a call to action, if you do a call to action and you're engaging with people that have maybe just liked the post, you're going to actually be inviting them to something. And then as they start to kind of ask questions or like, oh, maybe I would like to learn more details, this is your opportunity to now ask more targeted questions to people about health and fitness, about their current routine. So some of these things are just, like I said, are questions that like I ask a lot, and you'll kind of feel what works for you and what questions naturally come out of your guys' conversations. But just wanted to give some examples, because I know often, and we could even put a little document together of some of these questions, but I know easily you're like, I know they're excited, or I know if I just talk to them for a little bit longer, they'd want to join, but I don't feel like I'm asking the right things to lead them in that direction. So I just wanted to dive into what a few of those are. But regardless, while you're kind of asking these questions, make sure that you're actually listening to their responses. Like you're listening to what they're saying back, and you're able to kind of relate to them and ask more questions that relate to that. And you're not just going off of like this checklist, like, oh, I got to ask about their workout routine. I got to ask how much time they have. Like you want to make sure that you're actually hearing what they're saying back to you, so that you can be the best coach to them. You can give them the most value. You can connect with them the most, because I feel like when somebody feels connected and they feel like you're taking care of them and you're actually giving them advice that relates to their goals, that's probably when they're going to actually want to join you, right? So I know sometimes we get super excited and we just want to ask all the questions, but I just wanted to make sure that we know that we should be also kind of listening to their responses and kind of responding in the right appropriate fashion. So some of the things that I ask people whenever they start to say like if I would say, oh my gosh, thank you so much for liking my post last night on my transformation. That was super hard for me to post, because like who likes to post a photo of them in a bathing suit or in a sports bra? But I really appreciate it. I hope to kind of motivate some people along their journey too. I'm actually opening up a group that kicks off next week. Would you be open to learning more? They're like, sure, I'd love to know more about like your journey and what workouts you did. The next kind of question or thing that I would ask back to them is not me kind of vomiting all of the information on the program I did, the results I got, although I want to do that, right? I want to like tell them everything, all the secrets of what I've been doing, but it's important to take it down to their level and kind of ask them about themselves, right? Because the workout that you did might not be the right workout for them. Like if I everybody that said that they liked my results from the Ultimate Reset, if I spewed all that information back to them, like most people would be like, no thanks, I do not want to do a vegan diet for 3 weeks, right? So you need to see what actually is the best fit for them. So things that I typically ask in the beginning would be like, what does your current health and fitness regimen look like? Do you follow any types of workouts or diet plans? This starts to give you an idea of what somebody's actually doing. So typically what I would ask is like, what's your current health and fitness regimen? Maybe what's working well for you right now and what's not working as well as you would like it to. I often like to ask that because it allows somebody to kind of already do a little self-reflection of, hey, okay, like if they say, oh yeah, I'm going to the gym, that's really cool, but they're coming to you for some sort of reason, right? They're coming to you because there's something missing, probably that they want to do or they're not seeing results. So it's helpful to ask them what's working well so you can know that, what they like, and then what they're actually looking to you for help on. So often I'll ask that, and then it kind of is directed based on what their responses are. So depending on what their responses are, you can ask like, oh, what types of workouts have you liked in the past? How much time a day would you be able to commit to a workout program, or how much time right now do you work out? And then that often can lead you to asking if they want to maybe join your group. So I think it's just important to make sure that you're asking questions that are directing them the right way, and that then you're listening to what their responses are so that you can kind of like continue the conversation. And anytime before it kind of gets to what their actual objections are, when they start asking for like the cost and stuff, before that, I like to make sure that I understand what their goals are, to the extent that you can get what their why is, what their kind of deeper reasoning is to lose the weight or to have more energy, whether it's to have energy for their kids, whether it's to feel good in their clothes, whether they have a wedding coming up. Learning that only helps them connect to the value that you could actually provide to them. So super important that you're understanding what their goals are and that they're realistic. So if you say, oh, what are your goals for the next 30 days? And they say, I want to lose 50 pounds. You say, okay, well, let's set a realistic goal for you in the next 30 days. Like, would you be happy, or how would it make you feel if you lost 10 or 15 pounds? And then they're like, oh my gosh, that would feel great. And then you can start to kind of continue to dive into how great they would feel, how that could kind of change their life, things like that, so that they're getting super excited, so that once you start presenting workout options for them, or maybe you start to present that Shakeology as part of your group, that they're already excited because they see the value and how that's connecting to their goals. So some other questions that I just wrote down that I often ask people, again, this is kind of a format where I'm inviting them via a message versus running a sneak peek, which, as a lot of you guys know, I run sneak peeks often because it gives me another opportunity to share with people in a different format than just typing back and forth. I'm able to kind of share more in video. But if I'm just inviting somebody in a message, these are some other questions that I typically ask people. I asked them if they would be open to trying a new workout program if it only took them 30 minutes a day and they could do it from home. And as they're answering these questions, I'm now starting to think of a program that I think is the best fit for them. And that's not always because that's the challenge pack that they're going to buy, but that could be the program that they first start when they use the all access Beachbody On Demand. So they could still do all access, but you're helping to find them a program that they're going to get started with. So often I'll think of a program, maybe one, maybe two programs that I think are a good fit for them. And then I often will ask somebody, would you mind if I sent you a quick video link to a program or to two programs that I think might be a really good fit for you? It might be easier for you to get a good sense of the program in a video versus me just typing it out. And often people are like, well, of course, send the video over. And it allows me to then send them a video from the Beachbody YouTube page that gives them a very clear sense in like 2 minutes what the workout could be like. And then I can ask them if they think that's a good fit for them, what they liked about the video, and things like that. That would kind of continue the progression to them joining the group. So those are some questions that I typically will ask people to get a program in front of them to see if that's a good fit for them outside of a sneak peek. And then after that, once they're getting pretty hyped up and they're like, yeah, that one does seem like it's a really good fit for me, we tie it back to their goals. And then I'm like, okay, are you ready to do this? Do you mind if I kind of recap what you're all going to receive? And I can let you know the sale price. And then if that works well for you, we'll get you signed up. So by then, I now have the opportunity to kind of just summarize everything that they're going to get line by line. I will list it out what they'll all receive, including me as their coach, including access to my group. If they're doing the all access, that includes like being with me for 12 months if they want to, right? So I'm kind of listing it all out, and the price is in there at the end, but they've already now seen all the value based on all these questions that we've had back and forth. So that's kind of the process and some of the questions that I would ask in an actual invite via message. And so that was that long section that Lisa didn't want to cover that I got. So in kind of summary, those are really the topics. I can tell that we're almost at an hour. That was wild. But in summary, we really wanted to make sure that we were covering how you could invite people, how you could start to build relationships with people, and that you're always kind of making sure that you're putting yourself out there, that you're showing value on your social media page. And when you're talking with people, one, that you're actually doing it and that you're doing it frequently, but when you're doing it, you're listening to them, you're relating back to them, and you're starting to build relationships, because those are really the foundation for our invitations. And then those are going to be your rock star challengers. Those are going to be the rock star coaches on your team because you took the time to invest in them. You took the time to get to know them. Those are going to be the people that actually stick with you versus the people that just randomly sign up and never actually get plugged in, right? I don't know if anybody has any questions. I don't have anything else to cover. Lisa, if you do, you can totally cover it. Or if you guys have any questions, that's what we're here for also.
I just have to say that my husband walked down. He's like, the hat again? He's like, yes. And I'm pretty sure my dog just took a dump over there. Mm-hmm. I can't.
So is it just because he's old?
Well, the one that did it earlier today, I think he was abused, and like there must have been like banging when he was abused, or like gunshots or something, because every time the workers are here and they start banging, he freaks out and he craps.
Oh.
This one just does it to piss me off, and he's old, but yeah, I'm starting to smell it. Yeah, he pooped over there. And that about wraps up my night right there. That sums up the Torrey house.
I can't imagine my dog crapping in the house. I think I would move.
No, this is like
100 pounds. His poop is not small.
Yeah, no, this is a daily occurrence now. One of them's crapping
Is it just recently, Lisa? Or since
Smithers,
there?
Smithers is just because the workers are here, and if I leave him alone, that's when he does it. And PJ, when it's raining outside and he doesn't want to go out, which is what's happening right now.
Yeah.
So like I let him
Not
out.
raining, it's storming.
Yeah, like when I let him out, I don't know, was it yesterday morning or this? And I think it was yesterday morning. I was in the middle of a live video, and he just walked down here and just crapped, even though I just had let him out. So that was kind of him. And now this is on the recorded call, so that's good too. Okay, so no questions? Because I got to go pick something up over there.
I'm good.
All right.
Jessica, are you trying to talk to us?
Wait, hold on.
Hear you.
Wait, I'll take her off. Okay, now talk.
Okay, sorry. Like, how do y'all, like, when do you know for sure, like, the conversation is dead? Like, for example, recently I have this one particular girl that's just always commenting, always liking my stuff, and she's even, like, approached my husband, like, she works with him, and like, hey, your wife looks amazing, like, just compliment me, and she said, hey, you need to get me in shape. Well, I've approached her, and I've kind of followed this. I'm like, well, hey, like, what's your goals? Like, how's your nutrition? Are you going to the gym? And she's told me, like, her nutrition's crap. She's got a gym membership, but she doesn't go. And I'm like, well, do you think you would be interested in something that you could do 30 minutes at home? And she just told me no. And I didn't know what to do from there. I didn't. I was just like, well, okay, all right, bye.
I mean, sorry, I have my phone for the speakers echoing. Anyway, so.
Wait, can you get rid of your phone or switch it?
Ooh. Hold on. All right. So what I was going to say is that typically I'll ask them like, oh, like what hesitations do you have in joining us? Or like, what makes you think that maybe you wouldn't succeed at home? What if you had the support of a group? Or like, what's holding you back from joining us? Typically when people just give me like a flat out no, and you have no context for it, it's hard to like understand where they're coming from. You don't know really what help and things. So typically I'll ask them like, what hesitations do you have to trying something new, or what's holding you back from going all in? We could do this together, kind of, amp up a little bit of the support, because if she has a membership, the reason why she's not going is probably because she's just not motivated, right? And that's your job, is to keep her motivated, and she'll be plugged into our groups where she'll, have that accountability and daily support. So those are the things that I would probably highlight. And to the extent that somebody like still doesn't respond or just doesn't seem very interested, that's okay. You can put them on like a list where you follow back up with them in either a couple weeks or next month, right? She's clearly interested in clearly following you. And even if like now isn't the time for her, like even if this month she doesn't actually commit to joining you and you're like a little bit, discouraged or defeated, it's okay, because those people are sticking around. She's going to still be sticking around in June and in July when you're still working out, and she's like, oh shoot, yeah, Jessica's still making progress and I'm still not at the gym. So those are still invitations where you can, kind of still engage with her in the future, even if it doesn't pan out for this month, because maybe it's just not the time for her now, but it could be in the future too,
Okay.
I just want to put it out there. Lisa, she reached out to me. It took me 2 years for me to get on board. And I'm kicking myself in the butt because I wish I would have done it sooner. But 2 years. So keep holding on to her, because eventually she probably will latch on.
Okay.
And it's even like, Jessica, like you have an upcoming free group coming up. Like if she doesn't want to go all in and do something like a 30-minute program, see if she'd be down to do 5 minutes of abs, right? It's like, hey, this could just get her started. It could just start to like get her motivated again. And those are really a lot of the ways that I interact with people, is I start with some sort of free group where they're just getting started, and then they're starting to believe in what we can work on together. They're believing in themselves, and that kind of gradually moves them to the next step,
So am I supposed to be like contacting these people. Like I've like for the free group. I'm brand new at this, guys, so I really don't know anything. But for the free group, I've got like a ton of people like going, but then they didn't click my link to join. And I go back into the event and I'm like, hey, just a reminder, let's like go to the group and actually join. Do I need to like be going to each individual person and private messaging them like, hey, join the group? Or because I feel like a babysitter then in a way.
I typically do. Like at first I didn't. I was like, oh, anybody that wants to join, anybody that's going will totally go to the link. But here's the deal. People get lost on Facebook. You're overwhelmed. You click going on one day and then you check out for 3 days, right? They probably just missed it. They probably didn't intend to not join. But like, again, it's your group. To the extent that you're putting an effort by reaching out to literally every single person, even if it's just like the same message that you're kind of copying and pasting to each person, like, hey, Amber, I know that you wanted to join or you clicked going on my event. I didn't see you join the group. I want to make sure that you don't miss out. Do you mind clicking here? Or I went ahead and added you. I just posted the video of the moves we'll be doing. Like you can, in the beginning, I used to just add everybody that was going, because typically they were my friend on Facebook already, because that was where I was starting. So I would just manually add everyone. I was like, you clicked go and you're getting added. But now what I do is like, I don't really, a lot of those people I'm not friends with, so I can't always add them. So I'll probably have to message them and have them add themselves. But I think reaching out, like it's going to make the likelihood or the probability that they join you so much higher. They're like, shoot, Jessica's not just doing this ab challenge. She actually reached out to me to make sure I was doing it. And that's her job though too, right?
Yes, I'm just having a hard time with it because I feel like it's corny and I feel like I'm just doing terrible at it.
No, I mean, people need help. We all want to work on our abs, right? Like, it's the summertime. Like, we could all use some help. Like, people are clicking going on your free groups because they actually want to do it. It might seem weird, but, like, people do free challenges all the time. People on Pinterest post free challenges all the time. And what they're also getting from this is they're getting you to hold them accountable. Like, if you don't see them post, even if you only have 5 people do the challenge, you can stay on those 5 people, and they'll be like, she's legit. Like, she's, like, cracking the whip. And that's where they see the value in you as a coach versus them just going to a gym or them just doing something at home. So.
Okay.
The whole point of the free group is not for you just to like waste your time. You're showing these people like what your value is, and that like Christine said, like you're legit. Your job is to inspire and motivate them and like help them. And as they do, like, it might take them like 3 or 4 months with you to then like transfer over to be a challenger. It could take like 2 years. Like I've been doing these since I started. And some of these people, they always just, because they're cheap, they don't want to do anything but these. And then they wonder why they don't get the results. But like the whole point of it is for you to show them who you are and what you have to offer. And so if that means that like, yeah, you're a babysitter, then like, or like if you feel like that, some of these people, that's what they need. And that's why they're coming to you, is like they lack the motivation to do it themselves. They lack the willpower to like stay with something. And that's your job, is to keep them accountable. And they'll appreciate that. So while you may feel like, God, am I annoying? Like, I do the same thing with my kids. Like I annoy them, but like they would die without me, right? But like that's what these people, their fitness program would, like their routine might fail without you like pushing them like that. That's how you have to look at it. I look at these people just like they're my children.
That actually makes a whole lot better sense. I was telling Christine the other day, it's really, really difficult for me to look at, like, stand back and look at all this fitness stuff from other people's views, because I don't know. Even before I got into fitness, I knew it was going to take me 2 weeks to get a 6-pack. I was going to have to work at it.
Yeah.
So I feel.
Well, some of them are going to still think that they should have it like after 21 days with you. And you're like, no, if you're still eating like bags of chips while you're doing this, it's not going to matter how many crunches you do. But that's when, like, towards the end of your challenge, then you start promoting that's when you breadcrumb your boot camp and be like, if you liked this and you want to take your results to the next level, I've got this other group where we focus not just on this fitness piece, but we take it up a notch. We intensify your workouts and we really hone in on your nutrition. And that's when they're like, oh, like, so this girl, like if she won't do like the in-home workout with you, like Christine said, plug her into your free group and have her get hooked on you there.
Okay.
Breadcrumb it with, you know, the whole nutritional piece. I'm like, hey, you really want to see results? Go to this group. And then she'll be like, oh, yeah, maybe I should do that.
Okay.
Don't ever feel like because you're helping people stay accountable, that you're annoying. Like, that's what most of them need and want. Like, if you ask people what their struggles are, chances are they're going to tell you nutrition, and they're going to tell you motivation and like sticking with the program. Well, guess what? Like, your job is to help them stick with the program. That's why they're coming to you.
Okay.
Any other questions? We went way over. It reeks down here at this point.
I'm sorry.
Just like sitting in the stage. Mm-hmm. All right, well, with that, I'm going to go pick up some poo. You ladies have a better night than mine.
Good night, you guys.
Thank you guys for sticking with us. And then we'll let you know about next week. I have to figure out what the hell's going on with Engage Dynasty. But if they don't have something, Christine and I will. Okay? So you'll have something.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.